Hello and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 152 for June 9th, 2015. My name is Rainbow Plasma, I'm the host and organizer of the podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Flutterguy317, I'm the media manager and the editor of the podcast.
And Atmospark, I am the questions Deering art and art guy.
Yay!
you keep adding titles to yourself, right? Like I don't know where I don't know where this art thing came from. You know, like I'm not sure when we made you the art person.
Like 152 episodes ago.
Yeah, you're just like sliding it in slowly and seeing if we'll notice. Yeah. But I totally noticed.
Pretty soon you'll be like, you know, the DeviantArt guy, the art guy, and the organizer or whatever.
Yeah, let's start throwing in now. I'm the editor this week.
Yeah.
Guys, we're only a couple episodes away from our 3-year anniversary.
I know.
It's true.
It's crazy.
We still have to organize something for that. I know I had a couple people come up to me and, first of all, hilariously, ask me for references of my pony because they wanted to draw fan art of the 3-year anniversary thing, which I find quite hilarious because there's like 200 of them.
Yeah.
So, you know, go to my favorites. You can find them there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, it was a good point. I actually forgot about this. I did want to mention that, you know, if you want to make us fan art for the 3-year thing, we'll definitely feature it on the show. So, I don't know if we have any plans for the 3-year thing, but I know for sure that there are a couple people who are planning on making art, and if you go out of your way and you make us some fan art for the 3-year thing, we'll absolutely show it on the show. So, people should be aware of that in case they want to do that.
Yes.
We'll absolutely give you your spotlight, your time in the... I don't know why I thought of shampoo. It's not...
What?
I don't know why time in the shampoo would be...
No.
My brain's really weird today.
Yeah.
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 Joel, it was your birthday!
It was like last week and stuff.
You got a segue for it.
Yay.
No, sorry, I segued into this.
Yeah, you just segued. No, I didn't actually get a segue for my birthday. You just segued into my thing.
I wish you got
can't,
a segue
like,
for your
push
birthday.
yourself around on a Segway now?
Nah, that'd be cool though.
Yeah.
I've never ridden a Segway.
They're pretty cool.
How was your birthday?
Oh, it was good. Had friends over, we played Splatoon and stuff for hours, and like Mario Kart and Smash. And
Everybody's raving about Splatoon,
Dude,
man.
Splatoon looks awesome.
Splatoon is so much fun, and me and Danny are quite good at it.
You should totally stream it, and I would totally watch you.
But it's
I'm pretty sure it's
on
very
my
difficult
Wii.
to
It's
stream
not on
Wii
my
U.
PC.
Yeah.
I don't have a capture card.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very difficult to stream Wii U anyways, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ray was streaming it for a bit.
Yeah. And Mando Pony was streaming it too.
That's right. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So yay, happy birthday.
Yay. Also, we got the 3-pack Inkling and Squid Amiibos, and apparently they're really super rare everywhere else, and there's just heaps of them in Australia.
Yeah, this Amiibo thing, I mean, like, I understand it, and I don't think it's weird, right? Like, my life is full of weird things. I do a lot weirder things than collect Amiibos, but there's something about the fervor of it. Like, people are, like, selling their houses for these things.
Yeah.
And that makes me a bit uncomfortable. So, don't sell your house, Joel.
I don't think people are selling their houses.
Maybe they're selling their doghouse.
People are doing some extreme things to get these, so...
Yeah, I know. Well, some of them are really rare.
Yeah.
Like, good luck getting a Wii Fit
That doesn't
Trail.
justify... Like, I'd like to think that you followed that up right after I mentioned the selling the houses thing. It's like, well, some people are selling houses, and it's like, well, some of them are really rare.
So is a
thing
house,
called supply and demand. Nothing's worth selling your house over.
Yeah.
No Amiibo is worth selling your house over.
What about a better house?
Doesn't Amiibo count as a better house?
Yes.
You can't live inside
You could
your
sell an Amiibo for a better house.
Sure. Maybe.
I doubt it. All right.
Speaking of
by
weird
the way,
things,
we didn't even mention Burns not here.
Oh, yeah. Both not here, guys.
Why wasn't that the top of the list? Why was that halfway
Because
down?
my birthday is more important than Burn.
That's true. That's true. Burns
And
not
he
here.
can't rebuke.
He's back from Evergreen Northwest, but he's got a lot of stuff to do. He took like days off of school to go out there, so he has to like catch up with school. He's feeling pretty tired. He got sick at the con, so
Everybody
all that
gets sick
kind of
at the con.
stuff added up together.
Yeah.
You know, we figured we came to a mutual understanding that perhaps next week would be better.
we did talk to him, so he's not dead. That's confirmed. But,
I didn't feel like it needed to be confirmed, but if you feel the need, then yes, he's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's not dead.
Oh,
And I also had a funny story from this week. So, if people remember back to the last time that Bernd and I did our own solo podcast thing with the cameras, I jokingly mentioned that I should show my family the podcast because like it was silly that I hadn't, and it just kind of like slipped my mind as to like actually like they knew I did a podcast, but they didn't really know anything about it. So I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do that. So like a month or two ago, like my mom came to visit me where I live, and we went out for like brunch or something. And I think she asked something about the podcast, and I was like, oh well, why don't I tell you all about it? And when I like I took her around like DeviantArt and stuff, and showed her like fan art and all this cool stuff like that, and she was like, all right, well like give me a couple of episodes to watch. And so I gave her a list of like 20. And so anyway, she watched some of those, and I wasn't really sure like how she was keeping up with it. So this Tuesday, I got a bunch of texts from my mom because she was watching the episode when she got back from whatever she was doing that day. She was like, I need to relax, so I turned on your podcast. So she was watching it the same day that it came out, and I was like, how into this are you? And apparently she was fact-checking me. So like last week we had a question talking about like what modes of transport would you like to see? And I was like, if you can get to the East Coast in 2 hours and the West Coast in 4 hours, I'll be happy. And she texted me and she's like, you know you can do that with a plane, right? And I was like, shut up, Mom!
so yeah, speaking of, hi Max's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
I don't
the
know
way,
if she'll listen to this one.
I don't know how to tell you this, but your mom's a Brony secretly.
No, she's not. She's not. She thought it would be weird. I was like, oh, I'm going to tell all my friends that you watch the podcast. And she's like, no, that'll be weird. And I'm like, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
It's not weird. It's cool. People think it's cool.
So wait, what do we call like fans of our podcast that aren't fans of MLP?
My mom. Specifically.
Yeah.
Khakis.
So yeah,
That's pretty good.
my mom immediately starts watching the podcast and starts fact checking me. So it's good. It's good. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Nice.
Anyways,
So this week there were two awesome fan-made animations that came
I want
out.
to talk about this one.
Okay.
I've been waiting for the animation for Lullaby for a Princess for 2 years, and I'm so happy that it's out. Like,
Yeah.
I saw that animatic after I'd heard the song for the first time, and it was like, I want that now. And I thought he'd just forgotten about it because I haven't been following it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it turns out it was just taking a while. And it's all hand-painted watercolors. All the backgrounds and the scenery is all hand-painted watercolors by C. Maggot and Simbaro.
Yeah.
And they look cool.
Yeah.
it's always, it's funny, tying back to last week again, we mentioned the pony cart game last week and how that just kind of died. I really I really like people with ambition, people who do ambitious things, like plan to make a big animation for ponies or make a big game or something like that. But I've also, because I'm in the gaming industry, I've seen like 100 different times where people have these grand big ideas, start them, and then because the ideas were way too big. So like I've gone past the point of trying to be encouraging, and now I'm just like, when I see a big project that someone does that they don't finish, I'm just like, bah, you fools, like start smaller. So anyways, when something like this comes out, when the final project does end up getting finished, I have an additional amount of respect for the people to be able to put in the time to actually like get it done, because that's really, really rare. Like there are probably 100 different animation projects in the MLP fandom that we've never heard of just because they never really got started.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see this one kind of get finished,
Yeah.
So respect.
Yeah, definitely. And if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go take a look at it because it's pretty awesome. And then the second animation that came out is the new Friendship is Manly Equestria Men.
Yeah, that's just as weird as last time.
Yeah, by
I don't know anything
Kanashi
about those
Panda.
ones.
It's amazing.
Have you never seen Friendship is Manly?
Nope.
Really?
You have.
No,
you definitely
I don't think I
have.
have.
You're just forgetting.
Oh my
Also,
goodness.
people here are hating Manly at the moment, but that's an entirely different thing. Manly is a
Anyways.
football team, and they just...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't be less interested.
Oh, yeah, hockey. Oh, no, hockey. Oh, no.
So for the uninitiated, aka Joel, Friendship is Manly is a cartoon animation done by Kanashi Panda. featuring very buff versions of MLP characters
Humanized
as men.
version.
What have they done
Yeah.
to my waifu?
They're humanized. It's just strange.
It's confusing and awesome at the same time, and the
Strange.
new one is fantastic. You should go check it out.
That's a good point. I should actually talk to Selby Yoshi because she obsessed over the first one, so I'm sure she's died. I'm sure she died. She just died.
Probably,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, the first one has like 3 million views. It's the same person who did the Adventures of Prince Duskshine, which is what we use for our Duskshine transition. And also made Once Upon a Time in Canterlot, which is like the best freaking fighting scene MLP thing ever.
Yep.
No big deal. But yeah, it was a thing.
Mm-hmm. It is a thing.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
So, anyhow.
Let's never talk about this again.
uh,
Shampoo, anybody?
Onto the artwork.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's shampoo our way to the artwork.
Lather, rinse,
Why
repeat.
did I think shampoo?
Why?
Okay, so I'm first with art. See you on the art guy. I have picked this one called Tame a Trixie Along the Way by NF Nameless Fairy.
Is Tamer Trixie like a series that Nameless Fairy is doing?
I'm not sure. I haven't. It says it's a revisit, like a redo of an old one, but it might be. It looks like it might be.
Yeah, okay. There's a couple of other ones here. Yeah. I'm seeing this now. There's a couple of other art pieces under the label of Tamer Trixie. So
Yeah.
there seems to be this world that Nameless Fairy is kind of crafting, where Trixie is some sort of tamer of I guess exotic beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Which she was
of
billing
some
herself
sort.
to be, but this must be like between when we saw her and when we saw her again.
Yeah. There must be something kind of in between. You can see that she's got a couple of, she's almost like a collector of sorts. She's got like a horn in the background, and there's a pouch, and there's a
It's set
belt. Is that a belt?
where?
Like
there,
hanging
yeah.
off of the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And a shield, and the alicorn amulets
Yeah.
on the left there, and some sort of staff. So she's obviously like collecting stuff and going out, and in her other pieces, she's like battling monsters and stuff. So some sort of adventurer Trixie, maybe giving Trixie a little bit more depth than just random roaming jealous magician.
Mm-hmm. I really like this take on Trixie.
Yeah.
Kind of portraying her as like almost an adventure, like a fantasy adventure type.
Right.
Pony. Like,
Really plays up the roaming aspect of her character.
Yeah. You've got
I like
a
that.
horn there.
I like that without sort of. You can't really tell it's her, kind of, because there's no of her colors. It's all red from the fire. Red and
Right.
and
It's
hot.
very, very, very not washed out, but it's almost like color washed out in a way,
Mm-hmm.
I like the concept of this, People talk about Trixie a lot, the character, and they give her these grand backstories and talk about her depth of character and stuff like that. And look, as her portrayal is in the show, as of the seasons, she doesn't have a very good character. She's mean, she's crazy, she's a villain, she's an antagonist, I guess, not a villain.
Yeah.
But I would like to see more of this. I'd like to see more of what the fandom has come up for her. A lot of people have their own headcanons around what Trixie might be. I think that's great. But as of right now on the show, she's just an antagonist who's kind of mean. Like there's no deeper kind of redeeming value to Trixie, and something like this gives depth to that character.
Yeah. Like it's almost a very emotional piece. Like, and it's not even like trying to be an emotional piece, but just like the solemn expression on her face. I don't know. It kind of is not really sad, but almost like longing in a way, maybe.
Because Joel, you presented this piece to me, and I've never seen the series before. It's almost like introducing a world in a way,
Yeah.
We have a familiar character in Trixie, but an unfamiliar surrounding, and it's almost like the story itself pieces together as you move from different like part of the piece to another part. You kind of start like thinking about the story behind this and why she's out here and what these things are, and it's almost like the story unfolds in a way, and so it kind of plays off your emotions there. You're thinking about the story and suddenly gaining this depth to the character.
Mm-hmm.
And that could definitely provoke an emotional reaction. I could
And
definitely
just you
see
see all the stuff around you, you're like, I wonder where she got that. Where did that come from? How is this thing here? What is that? And you
Yeah,
think, okay,
yeah.
I want to know the rest
Exactly.
of the story.
Yeah.
that. Exactly.
It's a very world building type piece where there's a lot of like aspects from this universe that you don't really know how they got there or like what they mean in it. But because it's a series, like NF Nameless Fairy can kind of tell their side of the story or their perspective on the story, and kind of build this world around Trixie, which is
Yeah.
cool. I really like in this piece the separation of foreground and background. Foreground is all warm colors, these reds, yellows, oranges, and stuff, and the background is very cool colors, these blues and greens and violets and stuff. It's very like it's very separated out, and you can
Yeah.
definitely tell. And it's not just like, bottom of the piece versus the top of the piece because you have this big wagon in there, but it definitely separates out foreground, background, and stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
There's also that midground, which was like that dark brown orange, like that.
Well,
the wagon
it's
and-
the midground. It's almost like the colors are direct representations of where the objects that are affected by it are in the scene, right?
Mhm.
So as you mentioned, there's a midground as well, and all that is half of like a foreground and half of a background, right?
Yeah.
It's these dimly lit things like the back of the wagon or whatever the tongue of the wagon there, and the horn behind her. It's like dimly lit, so there's a bit of that foreground, but it's still got a lot of background in there, and so the colors almost directly correspond to where you place them in terms of midground, foreground, background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole like warm colors, cool shadows also kind of comes into play here. And I think the aspect of a fire or a central light source like that is a really good way to kind of make it seem natural, I guess. This like warm color, cool color separation.
Mm-hmm. The fire's done very well too. I like the shadows around the rocks themselves. I have an interesting phenomenon that happens with this piece, right? Because we often talk about the brightest point in the piece, the thing that stands out is the thing that's going to capture your attention. But fire doesn't always do that. Fire has a very interesting concept to it, which is it's kind of like the sun, We know that we're not supposed to look like directly into a bright fire. It's almost too bright.
Yeah.
And I find myself looking around at the things that the fire illuminates, much like I would do in real life. Like if I came across a campsite and there was a fire and there was stuff surrounding the fire, chances are I'd probably also look at the stuff around the fire, not necessarily right at it, especially if it was burning as brightly as we see in this piece. You've got this like very vivid like yellow-white in the middle of the fire. It's very bright.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to me because I wasn't immediately drawn to the fire itself, but the things surrounding the fire. And now that I've like taken my vision and physically put it down there, there's all this detail to do with the rocks and the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lighting where that fire's done really well.
Yeah. It's interesting because my eye kind of gets drawn to, like you said, not the fire directly, but the things that kind of reflect the fire. So like first off, Trixie's eyes, which are probably the second most brightest thing in the piece, but also because they're very bright against like kind of her more darker skin tone and surroundings and stuff. But also like the chest in the background, her tail, this shield and stuff over on the right side. And then like as you notice these things, then your eye kind of starts adjusting to the other things in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just find that phenomenon kind of interesting because normally in a piece, the brightest thing or the thing that stands out the most in terms of things like value or color are the things that immediately draw you directly to them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the case here. And I wonder if that's a case of just it's too bright a value, not too bright as in it's bad, but too bright in order to draw focus, or whether or not there's some sort of psychology going on there with fire. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us can confidently say, but it's an interesting thing to think about.
I would be interested in hearing like Byrne's perspective on it. I think it might also have something to do with the surrounding colors and values too, because like the fire is, you know, this very bright, very high value spot, but like around it is also very bright and vibrant and stuff. And I think kind of the separation of, or like the drastic shift in hues and values kind of draws your focus a bit more than just like, you know, bright spot.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know though. I'd just kind of ballparking there.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good piece, Joel.
Thank you. I like it.
All right, let's move on to the next piece, which is mine. And it is called Roots of Memories by Scooty Bloom. And it depicts Twilight from season 5, so recently, up with the roots of the tree that are now hanging above one of the rooms in her new castle. You can see the gems that contain pictures of all the memories that they've had, and I think it's a wonderful piece. I obviously am someone who has been very outspoken about my enjoyment of the emotional aspect of art pieces. I think I can confidently say that I am the most emotionally attached to or like emotionally focused to art pieces out of the four of us. And this one definitely, you know, the scene in the show itself, but also this art piece in general kind of conveys a lot of emotion in it, and it's a very emotional piece in general.
Mm-hmm. I like their take on like continuing the opener from season 5, because like, or it wasn't the opener, it was season episode 3.
Yeah, something like that. When they were decorating the castle, and then they all messed it up because they were all trying to do their own thing.
Yeah, because like we haven't really seen more of that yet, and it'd be interesting to see like, you know, Twilight's personal time where she like goes through and looks at all of the different memories that her friends kind of put up there.
Yeah,
guys, I'm blanking. What was the first what was the season opener?
The equality.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
the stealing cutie marks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I'm totally fine with these spoilers, by the way, because if you haven't seen like My Little Pony season 5, but you managed to tune into an hour-long podcast,
Yeah.
then your priorities are out of order, not mine.
Do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I am, you know, as part of someone who looks in the emotions of the piece, I'm also a sucker for facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
152 episodes, I'm still saying this, but I will repeat it because I truly believe it. And Scooty Bloom did an amazing job in this piece, you know, conveying the kind of happy sadness in a way, that the happy the tears of joy, the kind of you know, it's almost like an unspoken kind of overwhelming feeling that you might get in these kind of situations,
Mm-hmm.
where you're so overwhelmed by something, so something is so unexpected that your body kind of shuts down, and in her case she starts crying.
Yeah.
And I think that's conveyed very well here with the facial expression, and I like that aspect. I like the fact that they tied in the emotions there with the facial expression, and that they really managed to nail that in this piece.
It's a good thing she can keep flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big sucker, like you're a sucker for emotions and faces and stuff. I'm a big sucker for good framing, and I think that this piece does framing really well. I like the outline of the tree kind of frames Twilight and these two crystals that are a lot more detailed than the rest of them in the background.
They're the ones she's looking at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure
Yeah,
out why
I mean-
Applejack is upside down.
Yeah. I think this is a great piece in order to kind of talk about framing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that are important in this piece are Twilight and the two gems that are hanging in front of her, as you guys just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll notice is that the roots are just there because they're part of a piece. It's not like they're growing in any sort of weird formation. You know, they're done very well in a kind of jagged and rooty way, but they're not interfering with the focuses of the piece.
Yeah.
In fact, they're doing more than that, and by not interfering and surrounding them, they are framing them.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a, what's the correct term, lesser artists and a more inexperienced artist might have put a root behind Twilight, like a foreground root behind Twilight, or behind the gems.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that would have taken away from the focus. It would have broken up this centralized view that we're getting right here. And instead, what Scooty Bloom did, which was great, was had the roots go out and around like a frame, and it draws you in towards the character and the focus of the piece.
Yeah. And it's almost like a 3D framing in a way because of this background root behind Twilight too.
And that's an excellent point too. You know, I didn't even think about the 3D framing, but I was going to mention that people will look at that and say, well, they totally put a root behind Twilight. Like, what are you talking about? But it's very clearly in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scooty Bloom, like, put much darker colors. In fact, there is a value contrast right near Twilight's ear between the foreground root, that's quite bright and almost purpley, and the background root, which is quite dark and brown. And that creates that separation, which pushes the other root into the background, meaning that it's totally okay for that root to go over where Twilight is, because it's in the background, and we know it's in the background, and there's other visual cues that it's in the background, and it doesn't take away from the focus.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, that 3D framing too, which is cool.
Yeah. I also like the lighting in this piece, the volumetric lighting that you get with the crystals, because the light source is really behind where we're looking, like behind the tree, or in front of us behind the tree, behind Twilight. And you can kind of see that by, if you look at the crystals over to the right-hand side or even to the left-hand side, there's this volumetric light streaming coming from basically from each crystal, which is a neat effect.
Yeah. Did we talk about how big Twilight's hair is?
I like it. Poofy hair is
it's
good.
So
Yeah.
poofy.
Very
Poofy hair.
Her hair is like a mile off the top of her head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes it look cute, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find... So, I'm trying to find the source on this. But I swear that the top memory in the gem is male Twilight Sparkle, like, meeting Pinkie Pie. Like, there was an art piece that, like... I don't know how to describe it. There was an art piece with male Twilight Sparkle meeting Pinkie Pie. And I can't zoom in any further. Like, I'm trying desperately. Maybe not. Now that I've zoomed in further, it doesn't look like it.
No, but you know what this calls for, right?
Why should I make it really quiet?
There's a lot of stuff that Scooty Bloom has done that I like, but didn't realize it was them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is kind of an...
you're surfing through their gallery?
Yeah. I think those the memories are screenshots, aren't they?
Yeah, they must be. I'm wrong. Scooty Bloom is what I would consider an up and coming artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's taken strides in the last little bit to really kind of take himself to the next level in terms of artistic skill. There's a couple of pieces that I remember of his from, a while ago. There was that reading Dashy piece where it was Rainbow Dash sitting down at the bottom of a tree reading. Looked really good. And you can tell that a couple of his recent ones. Yeah. Sorry?
I like the one with the Rainbow Dash and the Weather Factory with the lightning bolt.
Yeah, the Weather
right.
Factory
Yeah, that and we brought up that one as well.
Yeah.
And there was a Griffin one, the parallel universe Griffin one.
With statue.
He's really taken his stuff to the next level, I think. And I think if people are looking for an up and coming artist to watch, Scooty Bloom is definitely a great one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And relatively unknown to us until recently. So, yeah.
Well, unknown to you.
I've
actually been following them for a while.
Right.
It's a great piece. I like it.
Yeah. So, on to the next piece.
Got money in my pocket. Put your hands up if tonight we gonna rock it.
What?
Hey.
It's a
All
song
right.
reference.
Oh.
So the piece that I brought
Did you
is
write
called
No.
it's called Endure by Vest, and it's a piece of Applejack, and it's basically her cutie mark in these caverns.
Apples.
Yes.
Balls.
Apples.
Apples.
He's done a whole
Buy
series
them.
of these, and I love them all.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They're so good.
They're so fantastic.
that Rainbow Dash one that we brought up a couple of weeks ago. Well, that you brought up a couple of weeks ago, Max, because neither Ted or I were on the show that week.
Yeah.
You were jelly.
I was
Mm,
so
You were very
jelly.
jelly.
Also,
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the pinky one. There's no pinky one yet.
Do the
I
pinky
think-
one.
I think Otaku AP might have picked that one.
Maybe.
Did
I
he?
don't remember. Well, I mean, you would have no idea. But Bernd and I were there. I think we asked him to pick one. I think he might have picked that one.
I think he
I don't
did.
remember off the top of my head. It was either him or Bernd. Anyways, we did feature the Rainbow Dash one before, and this is part of that series as well. And I'm sure we're going to have at least one more from that series
Yep.
on the show in the future. So
Yeah.
no surprises there.
Despite what you may think, I actually did watch that episode, and
Oh, did you?
yeah, I just can't remember, but I do think that it was Otaku AP that picked the Rainbow Dash one.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I really enjoy the creativity in all of these different pieces towards kind of artificially making things look natural. You know, like making these formations look like just something that is there that these characters are stumbling across as if it's some sort of big reveal, you know? I think I mentioned in the last episode when we were looking at the Rainbow Dash one that the different rocks are kind of shaded based on the lighting, and it's almost as if Rainbow Dash is kind of like the stars align, you know? And
Yeah.
just in that one particular spot, you can see her cutie mark. And there's a lot of these other pieces that feel that way, you know? And we talked about in the Trixie piece that there's this world building aspect to these art pieces, right? And I get a huge sense of world building out of these art pieces, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When you get that sense of adventure, that sense of discovery, it's almost like, what adventure are they on that leads them to this point of discovery?
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
And it's kind of different than the Trixie piece, because this is more focused on like the landscape, and the Trixie piece, and basically a lot of the pieces in the Trixie series are focused on like her and her character development and stuff. But like you can build worlds in a lot of different ways in art.
Absolutely.
So
I also feel like it's a bit different in that this shows... The other piece showed world building in a more calm kind of, you know, just slice of life way.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like this one is more of a climactic moment.
Yeah.
You know, if this was an adventure, if this was a world in which an adventure took place, this would be a defining moment in said adventure.
Yeah.
You know?
This would be like, you know, if you have a soundtrack going on, this would be like the part where all the violins like get really bright.
Yeah, the
and heavy,
orchestra really brings up. It's like this big reveal.
Yeah.
And
Applejack
then,
was lost.
then the drums start, and there's the guy like, screaming at the top of his lungs like death metal. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the drums start and it zooms in on the character's face, and the character gets a new sense of determination just when they thought they were going to give up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's really cool, and I love the way that it's kind of worked into the background in such a way that makes it feel like it's this miraculous thing that has occurred in
Yeah.
order to send a sign.
Yeah. I really like the way that Vest works with colors in these pieces too. Like in this piece, it's very two-colored. There's the reds basically for the apples and for these streams of... It looks like water, but it could be lava. I'm not really sure.
I mean, obviously it's apple juice.
Oh, clearly, yeah.
Just isn't right there.
Maybe not your apple juice.
Apple juice with
It's
food dye in it. Yeah.
apple
And
ketchup.
green for like these... I don't really know what's emanating the green light, but it's like these like leaves maybe, or they could be like funguses, because, you know, some fungi are bioluminescent.
It looks almost like they're holes in the rock.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I get from this is the apple side of it is going down, and then that red lava is what's producing light coming from those holes, and then the green is holes that go like further up into the cave, so light is coming through them, and I don't know whether it's reflection from water or it's going through gems or something, but it's creating that green effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I mean, there's a sense of wonder too, you know,
Yeah.
that some of it cannot be explained, but
yeah.
yeah.
What really gets me about the colors is just kind of how they interact in the piece, and how it's not just like, you know, different sections are this particular color, but the greens and the turquoises and the blues and the reds and stuff kind of all blend in particular ways that make this piece look semi-realistic, but also kind of fantastical. Like it can't actually exist in the world.
Yeah, it's so vibrant too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it stands out from the stark background. Like we all recognize that these are cave walls and they shouldn't be this vibrant, and that really stands out to me. It's like these things shouldn't be these colors, but they are.
Mm-hmm. Man, I really want to see a movie now that's like this.
Well, some sort of legitimate like My Little Pony movie, not the Equestria Girls ones, will come out at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're legitimate, but they're not like Pony.
No.
So, like,
Looking at the
Dude.
speaking of a
Go
story, looking at
they're not
the
ponies. What? You can't argue that. They're humans.
they're also ponies.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's not a story centered
speaking
in the
of
universe of
stories
Equestria.
around these art pieces, looking at some of the other ones and the descriptions that he's put, and then looking through his comments, it looks like there is a bit of a story going on with all 6 of them, but he hasn't finished them yet, so it's just still waiting on Pinky. It's like looking at specifically the Rarity one, where she's sitting on what looks like a replica of Pride Rock in front of her cutie mark, and she's got apples, like apple gems, like Applejack's cutie mark in front of her, and then in the comments he said something along the lines of Rarity and Applejack, despite being polar opposites, have created this really close friendship, and then if there's anybody that Rarity would go the extra distance for, it's Applejack, and then he's put that in there to symbolize that, and then it feels like there is a story with these 6 pieces, like they've all gone off to find their place.
Well, honestly, I'm not surprised. It's got a huge world building and storytelling vibe to it.
Yeah.
So it would be quite shocking to me to hear that the artist didn't have a story behind it.
But then I went back and through the other ones and looked for little references like that, and there weren't any, sadly.
Oh.
It's not that I can see.
Yeah. What's really interesting in kind of all of these pieces is that the focus really is on the landscape and more the cutie mark than the character themselves, because the character is often very small and mostly muted colors.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to give this big sort of sense of grandeur and this sense of this place is huge and look at how big of an impact I've made on the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, in a way, the characters aren't the focus. You know,
Yeah.
it's their realization that their representation of their cutie marks within the environment that is the important thing. The fact that they're there is kind of like a given in a way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what sets up the. You know, it's interesting when you think about it. When you think about the storytelling aspect, though, if the ponies weren't there, I wouldn't get the sense of a story.
Yeah.
It would be cool. Don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't get the sense that there's discovery.
No.
I wouldn't get the sense that there was a sign, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But by adding in these little non-important but there characters, you kind of change the meaning behind what we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting in this piece, the Applejack piece, because there's not really that much to point your focus towards Applejack, but she is a very significant part of the piece. And just kind of looking at it again, there is like this outcropping of rock that's kind of pointing directly at her that like kind of gives her at least some significance in it. And I think that you're right that like without the characters, it would just be a landscape piece. Like, you know, there wouldn't be this big story to be like, oh yeah. it's their cutie mark, but like putting them in there and giving them some sort of like foothold in the piece kind of gives it this extra bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'll also notice that in every single one of these pieces, the ponies are actually within their cutie marks at some point. So the artist has taken the time out to make the cutie marks the focus and then say, all right, here's this little tiny thing that's kind of obscuring the focus in a tiny little way.
Yeah.
You know, like in this piece, Applejack kind of like sticks into the bottom apple. So it's like, oh, well, obviously you're going to look at that and be like, what's that thing that's obstructing the bottom one? You know, so it's not only the pointing thing, but also the fact that she's physically obstructing the most visually entrancing thing in this entire piece. And I just went through quickly, and all of them are doing that in that piece. So that's obviously a technique this artist is using in order to bring some level of small focus to the characters.
Yeah, there's so much more that we could talk about with this piece, but I think we're kind of running up on time.
Running up on time, you seeing?
I do just want to talk one more point.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Which is again like the framing, but this time kind of more of the vignette of the piece. And I think this is kind of evident in all of these pieces that he's done, where it's kind of has this really dark border around the piece. Almost in like a circular shape, especially in this piece, you can kind of see where there's like this oval that you're kind of looking through into the rest of the piece, and it's not really evident unless you look for it, but it kind of really drives your focus right in towards the center of the piece.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, shall we move on to the questions? We had some really good art this week.
We did.
Top quality art.
Yeah.
See what happens when Burns not here.
Oh boy.
Oh, I miss him. He'll be back next week.
Yeah, I'll be back.
And he'll be able to talk about Everfree.
Joel, questions.
Okay. So we have 3 if we've got time this week. First one is there a particular scene in the show that really stands out because it had a strong emotional effect on you? Thanks to late customer.
Dave.
Who apparently keeps getting picked. These questions keep getting picked by random.org.
Random.org loves Dave.
He has sent in like 8, so he's got a higher chance. But man, they keep picking.
I think he's got the same amount on their list as Solid Blitz.
Yeah, who was our previous question champion.
Yeah.
And that's halfway piece pretty big too.
Well, yeah, but we've answered a lot of his, I believe.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a tally at that some point for fun. So I wanted to answer for Burn first, because I know what Burn's answer will probably be, or at least one of the most significant emotional effects on him. He talks a lot about, in the season 2 finale, the wedding, when Twilight goes to confront Cadence and gets surrounded by that ring of green fire and then dragged down the caverns. You know, he always describes it as a very emotional part when he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they did that on the show, you know, and like it was such an impact to him, and I know he's talked about it a lot. So I wanted to make sure that he got that in there because I know he definitely want to talk about that. I'm not sure if that's the most.
Oh, as it would be for him.
Yeah,
but
possibly.
But he's definitely talked about it a lot, so I wanted to get that in there.
Yeah. Joel, I have a funny feeling that ours is probably similar.
Probably, so you go ahead.
Okay, Party of One. That episode where Pinky's hair deflates has always hit me. And I kind of tear up a bit with that scene. Because it's just like, you know, Pinky's always fun-loving and stuff. And then all of a sudden just like, you know, my friends don't love me and they don't want to attend my parties anymore. Like, oh man, Pinky.
I don't want to be my friends. I don't want to come to my parties anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Was that an impression of Pinky or was that an impression of your girlfriend?
Wow.
A little bit of both.
No, but she does that impression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard that impression from her more than once.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying that.
So ours are related in that they are both Pinky, but unfortunately mine isn't from Party of One. It's from the season 4 ending. When did Twilight become princess?
Season 3.
Okay, end of season 3. During that song. No, was it the song? No. Sorry, I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. It's the cheese episode. Cheese sandwich episode. Where Pinky doesn't, like halfway through when she sings that song, where she just completely loses track of who she is and then decides, okay, maybe I don't want to do this no more, and she's singing and she's almost crying and she's really, really sad. And then she rebuilds herself back up again during the song. I think that was the best one for me.
Right. It was kind of like that.
Because she went from being completely happy and herself to completely nothing over the space of like 3 minutes.
Right. There was definitely a moment where she like looked over at Rainbow Dash and was like, "What is happening?" You know.
Yeah.
That
And
was a
then
big one.
they
I
should build
remember
herself back up again. So
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna beat him.
I was sitting here and my butt was clenched so hard
Oh,
because
God.
you were like season 3 finale and I'm like no, and you're like song and I'm like come on. So
And then I went, no, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
yeah, I know, and then I went oh my goodness. All right, so season 3 finale when Twilight is becoming a winged alicorn,
Mm-hmm.
transcending from unicorn to wing butt.
Thanks, Emily Larson.
So during Celestia's song,
Oh yeah.
I still cry every time. Like
Oh, in the Twilight Zone?
I have, yeah, I have a song. Like I have a remix of that Celestia song on my phone. It's a really cool remix. I wish I could remember what it was off the top of my head, and I'm going to try to look for it while I talk and delay. But anyways, that song is just like. It's combined with like, you know, we knew what was going to happen because we all got that totally spoiled for us. But even if we didn't, like, there's this sense of like something's about to happen. And then they bring up like all these memories of the past and they're showing them. And it's kind of like you remember your journey from watching the show and like all of these emotions come out, and her voice is so beautiful in that song. Like, it's incredible. Even though it's a short song, like, it's... Oh, and the entire song is packed with emotion, too. Like, it's a very loving song, you can tell. So, that thing in general is just... It's just amazing. I love that point. I still tear up every single time. Like, I hear that song.
I saw a great edit on the animation on that when they're walking through the Twilight Zone and there's pictures of like there's memories on the walls, and then one of them is I'm sorry, this YouTube video has been blocked on copyright grounds.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
I laughed.
Yeah.
So I found it. It's called Celestia's Ballad by Sim Gretna. It's really awesome. Anyways, I don't want to hold up the podcast anymore, so we'll move on to the next question.
Okay, so next question is, considering how much pony must be in your lives, do you ever need a small break? By DST. No idea what that means.
What, the question or DST?
No, DST.
Oh,
okay. Daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Come on. Get on it. I know you don't participate in daylight savings time, do you? Yeah. All right. Considering how much pony must be in your lives. So it's funny. I don't I don't actually spend a lot of time doing pony stuff.
Yeah.
So like my closest friends in the world are people who I met through ponies. But I don't really talk to them about pony stuff. Like I just talk to them because they're my friends and we talk about life and other stuff. I really, I stopped doing art because this podcast fulfilled that kind of urge, that creative urge in me. And it also filled this artistic urge in me to like go out and do something artistic. And so talking about art is kind of filled that as well. And in a way, it does that for pony as well. I find that when I do the podcast, I have this kind of like burst of like talking about the fandom and looking at the fandom's art and stuff like that. But I don't really search for a lot of stuff outside of that. Like when these new animations that we talked about at the beginning of the episode came out, like I didn't learn about them until people told me. I didn't like see them because I'm not looking up stuff. Obviously I watch the episodes when the seasons go and I might look for reactions for that. But other than that, I don't really keep up too much with the fandom. Like I interact with the fandom and I interact with the show through this podcast. So I don't ever really need a small break because I've kind of properly taken myself aback so I haven't overwhelmed myself, So I don't really need a break because I kind of naturally give myself breaks by not being interested in it outside of the podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay, you go.
Okay. I'm kind of similar. I like part of me wants to get back into doing like artwork and vector art and stuff. But the issue with that is just the time that it takes, especially because like I've been out of practice, so it will take a little bit to get back into. But like I don't know, like there was a breaking point for me just because I had so many different projects going on within the fandom, that I needed a break from those projects in like specifically, but not Pony itself, because Pony itself has like always been a source of, joy and relaxation and comfort for me. So it's like I don't really need a break from it, but like certain parts of the fandom maybe. But yeah.
Joel?
Okay. So I had one in my head. Where did it go? Come back in my head. Okay.
It's covered in shampoo.
Yeah, it is. Let's lather repeat. Yeah, so kinda. I get not so much from Pony because it only happens sort of like once a week every now and then. And I'm surrounded by Pony toys. Just literally surrounded by Pony toys. But art-wise, yeah. I mean, at the moment I haven't drawn anything in ages, and I feel weird bad about it. I should draw some more. But yeah, no, kinda. I mean, my answer is kinda. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also, like, for me at least, I go on my DeviantArt every single day and I check new messages, and so I check for new art. But that is such an easy thing to do that it requires no investment from me,
Yeah.
I go to DeviantArt, I click on messages, I click on the pieces that I like at first glance, and then if I like them at second glance, I favorite them.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically it.
At the moment, I go on DeviantArt only on Saturday mornings.
Right.
But
so,
I'm gonna try to change that.
So yeah, like it's, I don't know. I think that any breaks that we take from it are kind of natural. Like, I don't think any of us have sat down, maybe other than Ted, because you do a lot of projects, but like, none of us have really sat down and been like, all right, I need to take a break from this. It just kind of happens,
Yeah.
Life happens, stuff comes up, it's more important, takes priority, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's do one more question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do the other one?
Yep.
Okay. What is your favorite Pony fan-made animation on YouTube by Lacan?
There's only one answer for this. Dusk Shine Transition.
Wow. Nice. Didn't see that coming. I was like, where's he going with that? All right, fair enough. I'm gonna say anything from my fantabulous, wonderful friends Jordana and Richard, soon to be neighbors, duo cartoonists, the people who made Children of the Night. I'm saying that because I'm gonna be like living near them soon. Therefore, they'll beat me if I don't. No, I'm joking. They're awesome, and I love their animations. But
You're a butt.
and I'm sorry, because I really love their animations, and I love talking about their animations, and they're amazing. But that one piece that I mentioned before, the Kanishi Panda fight scene, Once Upon a Time in Canterlot or something like that.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Mm-hmm.
It was music. It was smooth, fluid fight scene. It was smooth, fluid fight scene synced to music. Ooh, good. I like it. It's good. Mwah. I like it. Children of the Night is the best. I can say that objectively. But I like that one animation the most. It's good. It's good.
It's good.
All right. Now I can go back. I'm going to send them each a message individually. Be like, I'm so sorry.
Don't watch this episode.
I have to say, it's actually gonna be very similar. That I do love Children of the Night, and anything that they put out is absolutely amazing, and that goes, without saying it. So that is obviously top. But I'm gonna go ahead with something else by Kanashi Panda, and that is the original Friendship is Manly. Just because of how weird and confused and in sync with the music and stuff and fluid and whatnot it is. It's the range of emotions
It was also like the first of its kind too, so you watch it and you're like, what is happening?
And then you watch it
like,
again and again.
Like, what am I watching? Like, how is this made?
Yeah.
Someone put time in this?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I stop watching that? It was weird.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
As for me, I can't decide. I know that's cliche, but I really can't because each animation series or that animation that I like has their own sort of thing about it. Like Lullaby for a Princess has, in my opinion, the best art. The best song and possibly art as well. Children of the Night just is all around a fantastic animation. What's the Friendship is Witchcraft is the funniest. Just
Is that a fan-made animation though?
There's
Yes.
animation aspects of it, yeah.
yeah, they've made stuff for it. I can't.
Fair enough.
Like, each animation has their own thing. Like, I'll go to if I want something funny, I'll go to Friendship is Witchcraft. If I want to just sit there and listen to it, I'll play Lullaby for a Princess, etc., etc.
Is there any other ones that like is part of your kind of like favorites list?
They're really the only series or ones that I've sort of been invested in. I mean, Snowdrop was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'd vector type for Snowdrop. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
That's cool. I mean, you had three good points there. So.
there's probably like a couple other ones that I've just watched and just haven't thought about in ages.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, we managed to get through 3 questions and 3 art pieces, which
Yeah.
we didn't skimp on,
Yeah.
and we're still within time. So that is impressive. That's better than last week.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess that is everything. There's a couple of things that I wanted to mention near the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I do as well. So
First of all, I just wanted to mention that we still are going to be blathering on for the next 2 months about our panel
yes.
that is happening at BronyCon. We just sat down today and wrote the title and the description for it. I'm not sure if we are going to release that beforehand. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Our title, which we will release right now, and we'll probably release maybe we'll release the description of it. But the title for the panel is called Art Analysis with the Cutie Art Crusaders. So
Simple. Yeah.
Look for that in the pamphlets.
Yeah. So, as we get closer to the event, we'll talk more about the panel. It's a really important thing for us. I think it'll be really awesome, and we'd love for people to come out to it. So we're definitely, giving that its fair due. Again, when we actually get the time for it, we're totally going to update you guys on that, and we would love for you guys to come out. We're really going to try to get it after the artist vendor alley is closed. So if you're an artist that's going there, I know we've got a couple of artist friends who want to come. We're going to really try to get it after that so you guys can come and you don't have to leave your tables or, in all likelihoods, not be able to leave your tables. But yeah, we just wanted to mention that again. They'll be happening at BronyCon, so if you're coming to BronyCon, you got to come to our panel.
Mm-hmm.
You're committed now. You've listened to this podcast. You're hooked in. Blood contract.
Yes.
guess.
And I also wanted to mention no spoiler cast this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because
There's
there's
no
no
new
episode
bunny.
this week.
Yeah.
I think there's an episode next week.
Yes.
Episode 100.
Okay. Yes. Which
Yeah.
I still haven't been spoiled
No,
on.
me either.
And I
So
shouldn't
shush.
have even said
Neither
it
have I.
because now people are going to tweet it to me.
Good
Don't
thing
spoil
Good thing
him.
I don't look at my Twitter.
Yeah, I don't. So, anyways, doesn't matter. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore.
Mhm.
And finally, we are not planning anything at the moment for our 3-year anniversary, which will be in 4 weeks.
Mhm.
So that'll be July 7th, which will actually line up pretty nicely for when we actually aired our episodes in the first place 3 years ago.
Mhm.
But again, if you would like to send in fan art, then we are totally open to showing that on the show. We have no plans, but what I can say is that we absolutely do appreciate when people send in fan art, and there's no way that we would receive fan art and not feature it on the
Aw.
show for this 3rd-year anniversary.
Guys, I'm not going to be here for the 3-year anniversary.
Aw.
Dude! Why?
I'll be on a,
Oh, you're
I'll be
in
on a
Bali.
plane.
Yeah.
That's right, you're in Bali.
So here's what we're gonna do: is we're gonna record a soundboard of you. And,
It's going to have 2 buttons. When are you getting on the plane? The 4th?
Yeah.
Ugh, you suck. All right, whatever. Well, we'll do the celebrations without you then.
Oh.
Hopefully more than 2 people can be there. Yeah, but anyways, that's everything I want to talk about. Now we're going over time. Good job, me. I'm great at this. I swear.
Yes.
So anyways, did you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up before we left?
Plugs.
Apart from
Oh,
plugs.
crap. We still have to do those.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
Okay, so Cutie Art Crusaders on Picado, cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com, cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com, youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders, cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com, facebook.com/cutieartcrusaders, and at Cutie Art Crusade. We've been getting a lot of likes on Facebook recently.
Yeah, I know. It's
we hit
crazy.
500 recently.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. Also, I was very proud of how fast you were on those plugs. I liked your rapid fire style.
Yeah.
I've
Anyways.
written them down so it's easy to do.
Anyways, that is everything for this week, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and hope you guys enjoyed yourself today. Whether or not you're on the live stream or on YouTube, we love you all the same. My name is Rainbow Plasma,
I'm FetterGuy317.
I'm at my spark.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Say bye,
Bye.
kitty. Bye, kitty. Close enough.
Aw.